All right. Hello, everybody. What's going on? Facebook. We are Radio.com, War Media, War on Anchor, and all that. Thanks for your support. If you don't support, screw you. Um, but if you come through this and you been coming through for Sunday night, thank you and appreciate your support. This is gonna be a real quick one. This ain't gonna be much to this because the game today wasn't really worth covering. And also, it's been a rough weekend for me. I haven't been well, physically just a little under the weather, but some other stuff too. But ain't much that's going to be keeping me on past the bottom of the hour. So about 15 minutes, and I'm going to be gone. But I'm just going to do a quick, mainly beyond that, because of the week that it's going to be with the Bears and them being on Thursday, we'll do more substantial coverage on Thursday. Probably come on before, maybe after two, depending on what happens, but definitely before the Thursday night game with Tampa Bay will be on for an hour. Hopefully, I'll have a guest or two with me, just to use that time more to go over, reflect if needed on what happened today, and more so preview the Thursday game. But as for what happened today, it's just the type of stuff that you can expect with the Bears. You watch them long enough. It doesn't matter who's the coach, who's the quarterback. It's sort of just stuck in the DNA of the team. They give you one or two of these lifeless performances every year. The lame, do nothing performance that is, it may be indicative of what is at the core of the franchise at any given time, but it's hard to take anything from it completely. You know, it, it's just a difficult watch and a difficult follow to see the team that at one point had so much promise and that gave you a jolt, such a jolt last week, for them to just come out and be give you that very little, if anything, the week after. But yeah, they just didn't look good today. It wasn't a good performance. Um, as for why is that, I think there's some good reasons and some not so good reasons. Overall, you're still dealing with a team that's looking to develop itself offensively, even though you have this quarterback change that was desperately needed, and everybody was excited about Foles. It's not just having that guy in the quarterback position that's going to bring you your wins and losses. The Bears can't run the ball. They don't run with consistency. They don't have confidence in the run. So when they don't when they have a few downs where they're not running well, they abandon it. That's kind of something that we've learned about Matt Nagy in his third year now coaching the team. He doesn't fall in love with the run unless it's really working well. And the Bears couldn't get off to a good start with the run. They didn't force feed it to a defense which is one of, if not the best defenses in the NFL right now, the Colts. Maybe on talent, on paper, they're not the best defense, but they're playing some of the best defensive ball right now. And they were just smothering the Bears for most of the game. They didn't, let them do anything too effective. They forced Foles to make plays downfield that him and his receivers aren't necessarily clicking yet on that level. So it was, you could have a play where that great play where Mooney makes the catch, but you also had, for the most part, routes that were being underrun, or the ball was being overthrown, or they just didn't connect in the way that they need to. There's going to happen, hopefully, more over with more coaching, more practice time, I should say. You know, at we have to acknowledge that Foles is still getting used to the number one receivers, the number one team on offense. He was practicing from back in the summer with the two team. That was something that stood in his way in regards to getting the job that most believe he was should have got week one. And to that end, let me go into that right quick. As far as those who were just with the breakneck speed going, well, we should have started them from week one, or you got the people still talking about we should have got Cam. How much of a difference do you think Cam Newton would have made behind this offensive line as it's playing right now? I don't think he makes that much of a difference. How much of a difference does Foles make in those first 2 weeks? They won those games. They went 3-0 without those guys, without Foles for the most part, and without Cam. They maxed out their abilities against three opponents who were begging to be beat. You can't hold it against them completely. They got to play. They can only play the schedule that they're given. But it was an easier schedule than most, and they took advantage of it. They got the wins that they needed, which is important now because they're likely to go 3-2. They're likely to be 3-2 by the end of Thursday, and for whatever that's worth, that's not indicative of a world beater. The Bears didn't get beat by a world beater either. So it's like, you could look at the Colts and say that may be a 10-11 win team, maybe at the most. But they're not a KC, they're not a Baltimore, they're not even a Seattle or Green Bay or likely a Tampa Bay. With who the Bears going to see on Thursday. They're not an upper echelon team in the league. Indianapolis is not. So the Bears came across that Indianapolis team today, who was the toughest team that they've seen so far this year, and they just didn't measure up. So what do you think that says about the Bears' overall chances? And, that's at this moment, we have a tendency as fans and followers to go, oh, well, that's it. We see one thing and we write the script for the rest of the season. That's not necessarily the case. There's still improvement that is available for the Bears to have. Even if they don't, even if Lamar Miller doesn't make any impact coming, the signee from this week in the backfield, maybe he doesn't do that. Maybe the Bears don't do anything to strengthen the defense. They still could improve because we know they could do better. We know the offense can do better, and we know the defense can do better. That defense, and all things considered, didn't even do that bad. They 19 points in most weeks should be enough to beat an NFL team. They just have a malfunctioning offense that they have to carry every week. And Foles in and of himself is not the answer. Maybe at his best he is, but he's not going to be his best every week. He's not a savior, And anybody who thinks he was, I'm sorry you had to be awakened like you were today, but that's just the case. He's a functioning starter, which is more than Trubisky is. And you don't want Trubisky back on the field right now. He's not ready. You want him at least to spend a month learning the game again. He has to learn the game. He can't learn in the trial by fire situation. He has to learn by sitting his behind on the bench, observing, getting talked to in his ear by the coaches, seeing just exactly what is being done week to week to maintain success, to to achieve and maintain success, and more importantly, to adjust mid-game, which is something that he has no ability to do at all. Foles can do that. He showed on some drives later and towards the end of the game that he can get a read of a defense and attack it better than he did in previous drives. That's something that Mitch can't do at all. So if you put Mitch in that situation today, the Bears be lucky if they get the 11 points that they got today. It just wouldn't have happened. So, overall, like I said, he just wished they could get more from Montgomery. Give the ball to him more and try to. But they can't. I'm not confident in the way that they run between the tackles. They just don't. Especially, against a team like the Colts who can give you, very good play up the middle from their defense, starting with DeForest Buckner. That's just a little bit too much for them to ask. Really, what the Bears can do, they can do most effectively against mid to lower tier teams. So you have to, the most you can ask of them is to beat those teams and to keep themselves in competition with the better teams that they're going to see. And they're mostly going to see better teams coming up, starting with Tampa Bay. You got LA, the Rams coming up after that, the Saints, who may or may not be an upper-class team this year. But you got, you still got both Green Bay matchups. You got, competition coming up. The Titans, if they're going to be healthy, they got, you got more competition coming up. And, I think the Bears can work themselves up maybe into a place where they can win more than they lose. But beyond that, I wouldn't ask them for much more than that. As a Bears fan, just you have to manage your expectations, and they're not a team right now that is going to do more than possibly win 8 or 9 games. That's what I saw from today. That's what coupled with what they've done in the earlier 3 weeks, which, they started the way that they needed to start. They started in a great way. We have to give them credit for that. But the schedule was ideal for a 3-1 start, for a possible 4-0 start. If you moved up a Green Bay game or moved up that one of these other tougher games to this first month of the season, then you there's no way you have a 3-1 team. You just don't. So, but like I say, they only could play who they could play, and they've survived so far. They won more than they lost, but they're going to be getting closer to that water level, that 500 water level by the end of Thursday. I just can't see them winning over Tampa Bay. But, that is something that the Bears are like. They are likely to do that too, to surprise you, because they do their best when they don't have expectations. And, maybe, Thursday night games there's a randomness to those games that occur, and they get to play at home, which, at least they don't have to go through traveling in that short week, which Tampa Bay does have to do. So maybe there's some stuff there that you may want to, that can give you a little bit of a positive outlet going into Thursday. Maybe depending on what the over under is, maybe you want to go with the Bears. The Bears are not going to be betting favorites. They weren't even betting favorites going into this game, which, it seemed weird going into it, but it was fitting. So if you were a betting person and you went with the Colts this week, you likely won some money. So good for you. But you definitely will if you want to be on the safer side betting on Thursday, you're going to likely have to go with Tampa Bay. And like I said, this team looks destined for 3-2. I don't know what that says about the rest of the season yet. We'll have to see how they perform against Tampa Bay and to get more of that. But This week reminds me of on the flip side in a lot of ways too. That week early last year when they beat Washington pretty handily on Monday night, and then they came back and right on that Sunday and beat Minnesota in a close game, hard fought game here, and they got them like to first place in the division. They were like 3-1, but Trubisky got hurt in that game, so that was one thing. But even with Daniel coming in, as ineffective as he could be, you still felt because of what he had did the prior year, and and keeping and helping out with a couple starts, leading to the division title, you still felt like, okay, well, Bears should be okay. But then they had that game in London. They lost to Oakland, and that just started a tailspin. Lost to Oakland, lost to, not necessarily in this order, but lost to Philly, lost to the Los Angeles Chargers, which is, funny because, that was the last time that Phillip Rivers played the Bears as a Charger. He beats them by 1 point with a team that was ready to get him out the door last year. And then he comes in this year with a team that is crowning him as their savior, even though he barely has anything left in the tank. But he had enough to just about throw 2-3 interceptions today, but they were called back. That one on Smith was just a killer that he had in the end zone, but his foot was out of bounds, I guess, before he caught it, so it was a good call. But Phillip Rivers doesn't have much, and they really don't need him to do much. They didn't need him to do much. That's why he was able to pull out the win today, because that I love that run attack. Jonathan Taylor is a nice young running back from Wisconsin. He's going to be a starter for a while. That offensive line is built the way that the Bears should have built their line. Colts built their offensive line with intention. They have maybe the best line in the National Football League, and they could do whatever they want behind it because they have great blockers at every position. They move great as a unit, and the Bears don't have that. That's why the run game is inconsistent, and they just from week to week, you never know what you're gonna get with it. And Nagy doesn't know, so he doesn't have confidence in it, and yada yada yada. But Colts are pretty good. They're better than I expected. And shout out to Ryan Bukovetsky, my man. He said that it was gonna be the toughest matchup for the Bears this year so far, and they wound up being that, and they beat them. So the Bears, it's a good measuring stick. I thought I would say to end. I think it's a good measuring stick for them because the Colts are a team that in a lot of ways they should be. They should be a better running team. They should be a more opportunistic defensive team with better energy. And, even though I said I'm trying not to be too hard on the defense, but I just don't like the way they're playing right now. I wish they were doing more and doing more to control games and dictate what opposing offense are doing. I wish they were taking the ball away more, but they're not doing that for some reason. And we gotta see if they can step it up in any way. If maybe if they don't, maybe it's not as bad as I think it could be. They still could hold teams under 20 points rather regularly. But, what about keeping the ball off the field, keeping teams from running the ball and controlling possession? Those type of things matter, especially when your offense just is so inconsistent like the Bears. They need more time on the field to get going. They need more time to do the things that they need to do to win, to have an impact on the game. And, they keep throwing 3 and outs, and it just leads to the defense having more work to do every game. And, it's just, it's not ideal. And like I said, it's not the type of thing that's going to work against better teams. So we'll see once again on Thursday how they'll work against a good team, a real good team, a team that has expectations. And let me look at the schedule, right? The scores, right quick, I should say. Just a once over. It was one of a really interesting week overall in the league, I would say. The Sunday night game has been competitive, but it's not that great either. Yeah, this kind of a forgetful week in the league. They say looking at the Buccaneers though, they probably played one of the best or better games early. They had like a shootout with the Chargers. Their young quarterback Herbert over with the Chargers looking nice, but Brady outdueled them. Got five touchdowns, and they ended up outscoring LA 38-31. So that was probably the best early game. And you know, looking at Brady, looks like he's getting more into that rhythm now with Tampa Bay, that first week wasn't a good look for Tampa Bay, but every week they've gotten better and better. And they look like they're ready to start going now. So it'll be interesting to see how they're affected by the short schedule, short week, and will they play into the Bears' hands in any way? Bears may need some of that. They may need some more luck than usual on Thursday because, like I said, they're not taking control of games like they should. But other games, the Vikings finally get a win. Texans, 0-4, man. That's a bad situation down there. Bill O'Brien, he got to be on his way out the door soon, man, by the end of this season or something, man. Oh, the Browns and the Cowboys was a fun game. I checked out the end of that because they showed that, at 12 o'clock here in Chicago because of the Bears game being moved. But the Browns, man, it's gonna be fun to see. Browns, they're 3-1, so shout out to the Browns. They're getting something going now. Definitely a chance for them to make an impact this year and finally do something with their team. The Cowboys is always the story, though, man. If they didn't get that onside kick against Atlanta and that crazy comeback, the one before the Bears did, if they didn't get that onside kick that allowed them to finish that comeback off, they'd be 0-4. So they're only 1-3. The whole NFC East is sorry. So the Cowboys, that's their only saving grace is that the NFC East is so sorry that they still very well could win the NFC East. They might could win it with 7-8 wins this year. But they're just in a bad way right now. And we know Stephen A. Smith is going to go off on First Take. That's the only thing I care about on First Take during the NFL season when Stephen A. gets to clown them Cowboys and the Cowboy fans because they kind of deserve it. We all know at least one Cowboy fan in our life that makes you feel that way. And you talk the talk, man. You rarely walk the walk. That's what you get, and that's what you get from the rest of the league. And the Cowboys just do not walk the walk anymore. I don't know what's going to take for them to, like I said, the only thing it's really going to take is how they do in their division. Can they be the least sorry against the sorry teams in their division? Maybe they could sneak into the playoffs again, but there's no championship time for them. Philly may win this game tonight. That'll put them above everyone because they'd have a 1-2-1 record with that tie from last week. But whether they do or don't, it's just, like I said, sorryest division in football right now, the NFC East. And I know from y'all who remember the 80s and stuff, 70s and 80s with that division, that's still hard to fathom, but that's just how it is. It's been that way for quite a while. Yeah. Rams won, though. Barely beat the Giants. Bills overcame the Raiders. I see now. You had the Patriots Chiefs game moved back to tomorrow. Gonna be interesting. Two Monday night games tomorrow. But I see this is not a great week for the NFL, and I'm not interested in talking about it much longer. But like I said, we'll be back Thursday. Uh, Thursday, Bears and Buccaneers kickoff is at 7:20. So we'll probably be on maybe 6:30. And maybe I should have Ryan at least, if no one else, maybe a couple other people, one or two other people with me. We'll just talk it up and see what's up with a Thursday night special. And maybe I'll be back next Sunday as well. I'm saying maybe because if I do a Thursday show and the Bears aren't on Sunday, I'm kind of anticipating resting on that day. But we'll see. We'll see. But say thanks for y'all who sat through this. Hopefully the shorter time makes you more willing to sit through the majority of this, if not all of it. And you can catch this on YouTube as well, along with all our other coverage, 3 and Out reports from Ryan with the Bears, all type of other stuff, basketball stuff. We're gonna get back to. Couldn't do a Running with War ahead of the finals, but I'm thankful that the finals are going to be extended at least to Game 5. So maybe we'll get one, or we should get one, or at least 2 of those up next week, in the coming week, I should say. Tuesday, look out before Game 4, I should say, for a live stream from YouTube, Running with War, NBA podcast. And also Tuesday, another in the building with my man's Rookie and Dave. And just keeping it moving, man. More going on with the baseball stuff. Maybe do some stuff wrapping up the baseball season. Went back, came and went like a light with Chicago baseball season be the case. Whenever you, again, like the Bears, when you get your hopes up, they just come crashing down just as soon as anything. So no Sox and no Cubs to stretch out the baseball season for us, but still a lot going on, and we'll keep y'all informed and entertained along those lines. We'll see, 9:43. I'm stretching it out a little longer than I expected. That shout of love for y'all, and shout out to everybody again who supported, and keep rocking with us. Put on the screen how to follow us if you don't know by now. There you go. Stretching this out again to 9:45. One thing y'all should keep up on, if you don't know about, is from that Rams Giants game, Golden Tate and what's the corner name? Jalen Ramsey. Golden Tate, Jalen Ramsey. Look that story up if you haven't already. There was some heat in that game, for an otherwise forgettable game. But there was some heat between those two. They were scrapping for real out there because Jalen has been involved with Golden Tate's sister. So that's all you need to know from that. But that's stuff on the internet about that and everything. So, you want to look at that. That's probably the most interesting thing that came from the NFL this week, really, if you think about it. But otherwise, like I said, got one more minute. I'm about to go. Got one more minute. And like I said, just check us out on Thursday. Should be a more exciting show. I'm ready to pack it up. All right, there we go. 9:45. I'm out. Y'all have a good one.